can put it into the chat box, and we'll address them. And Dory is going to start talking about the East Houston Solar Co-op. So take it away, Dory.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm excited for this, our first info session for the East Houston Co-op, and I'm glad you all could join us. I understand it's a kind of crazy time in this world we live in right now, and I take heart that maybe working on, thinking about, learning about solar can be one of those bright spots in our otherwise kind of crazy day. So who are we, Solar United Neighbors? Well, let me first start by thanking again our sponsors. And their logos are up there at the top of this first slide. So we have Public Citizen and Houston Renewable Energy Group, Sierra Club, the Bay Area Sierra Club chapter. We have the Houston Electric Auto Association and the Bay Area Unitarian Universalist Church. So excellent, excellent team of partners in this co-op. And so who are we is a question. I'm waiting for my slide to behave and to go down. Let's try that. I know why, okay. All right, we are a community of people building a new energy system. And we're a nonprofit, we're not affiliated with any company or product. We rely on you, the community. We do community engagement and involvement. And our objectives are to make solar the cornerstone of rooftops throughout all of Texas. And we have had so far in the nation 233 solar co-ops. This is our 7th one in Texas. We've done 4,600 homes and businesses that have gone solar through the co-ops. We've educated tens of thousands of people, and we have almost 35 megawatts of installed capacity. It represents $93 million of economic growth. So it's very exciting, the work that Solar United Neighbors does, and I'm excited to be part of that. So how did we start? This young man to the left is Walter, and he is the son of Anya Schoolman, our executive director. And in 2007, he came back home from school, having watched a documentary, and he's like, "Ma, we need to go solar. We need to do something about this." And so Anya started looking into it, and it was hard in 2007. It was not easy, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but it took her 2 years to get that co-op going, but eventually she got 45 homes to go solar, and that was the first. And then she started getting calls, and people were like, "How did you do that?" So that's where Solar United Neighbors got started, and now we're in 12 states throughout the country. So how do we help you go solar? There are 2 different ways, and we're going to focus on the co-op membership, but there's also an individual membership. The co-op membership you'll learn about tonight, but we help you go solar by going together. And when we learn together and when we work on this together, we can get a discount, and it helps, we go through it all. It helps you to get over the hurdles that are sometimes associated with going solar. So the other way, though, that does take time, and you'll find out the process and how long it takes. But the other way to go solar is if you say, "I don't have time, I'm going to just do it right now," you can do an individual membership. So the co-op process is free, but the individual membership, there's an annual fee of $85, but you'll get the same help from Solar United Neighbors to go solar. It's an individual process, but they'll help you review proposals. It's a slightly faster timeline. So in this presentation, learning about the co-op itself, we're going to have 3 parts: solar technology, how the solar co-op works, and solar economics. And so we'll start with the solar technology. And so some of you, I know Wally's very experienced at this, but how does a solar panel work? Let's start with just the name, solar photovoltaic, energy from the sun, electricity from the sun, solar photovoltaic or PV. We convert solar energy into electricity. And in a simplified, most houses will follow the same basic pattern. You'll have panels on the roof, that's your solar array. You'll invert that direct current power to alternating current that's good for your home through an inverter. that power will go through your circuit breaker panel, your electrical panel, and then whatever energy you aren't using at your house at the time will go through the meter and out to the grid. So really simple. Now we have terminology. So getting to talk about solar with the right terminology can help smooth the process of going solar. So when you talk about a panel, an array, we're talking about the power it can produce, and that's measured in kilowatts. When it produces that power over time, that is kilowatt hours. That's the energy produced over time. And panels have gotten more efficient. So this is showing you an approximate scale for a 250 watt panel, but nowadays it's 300, 350 for about the same size, about a 3x5, 3+ by 5+. And most homeowners will install between 5 to 12 kilowatts, depending on your solar goals, and we'll get into this in more detail, and what your roof can afford and what your budget can afford. And again, stop me if there's any questions along the way. So the solar panel is comprised of solar cells. Is that a question? Nope. Solar cells made of silicon, typically 60 or 72 cells per module. And then it's encapsulated and made into the panel that then gets placed on your roof with a number of other panels making up your solar array. And just to make this personal, that's my home with my 9 kW solar array on it. So the other components are your inverters, and there are 2 different types of inverters. Basically, there's the string inverter, which would be down mounted where you can, it's accessible, or microinverters that are underneath the panels. And generally, it's your installer's preference, unless you have a specific preference, because they both, with the use of optimizers, the string inverters can actually work equivalent to the microinverters. So you can talk with your installer about which might be better for your situation or your preferences. But these inverters, again, take the direct current power from the panels and convert it into alternating current, which can then go into your home and grid. The other components are your electric panel, and this picture is one that has, as you can see, a number of spare parts, spare blanks below. If your electric panel has these spare parts, we just need a couple to put in the solar array. So most homes have that space. There are some, and if you need to put in a new circuit breaker panel, it's probably good anyway that you have a little larger panel. It probably adds about $1,000 to $2,000 to your array cost. The other components are racking. You need to keep the panels with some airspace below them, so they get mounted on racks. And there's different racks for different situations. So this is an asphalt shingle installation, but if you have standing seam metal roofing, they can go on standing seam. It can go on flat roofs with parapets, as pictured here, or ground mounts if you happen to have space. I was talking with an installer today who is just, a new deck covering. They've made it such that it is the solar array house for the deck becomes the solar array. What makes a good solar siting? Ideally, sunshine. So you want to be facing south, facing southeast, facing southwest, ideally without shading, and then have roof or ground space enough for the size array you want. And depending on your loads and how you're configured, it's sometimes fine to be south-southwest, because that's usually when you're peaking on your air conditioning loads. Okay, then just to recap, and if there's any questions, a good time to ask. You've got the panels going into your inverter, into your circuit breaker panel, to your meter, and either, before the meter to your home, or out to the grid if you're not using the power that's being generated. All right, pausing there in case there's any. I'll go on though. So solar net metering, maybe that's a term you've heard. In states throughout the country, there are regulated utilities that have to provide net metering. They have to, on your bill, on average, if you get charged 13 cents for the power coming in, they have to give you 13 cents for any power you give out. You are a power producer in that case. Texas law does not require utilities to net meter, but certain utilities do offer a buyback program. And so buyback is, and to me, it's very similar. It's just by a different name because it's not required, it's not regulated. But a true net meter would be a 1-for-1, that 13 cents you pay, they pay you. So that's true net metering. What we found here in Texas with our retail energy providers, or REAPs, is that they're experimenting. They're still determining what's best for their business and for securing customers. So there's a range. There's a range of 1-to-1 for some of them. There's less than 1-to-1, so that if you pay 13 cents, they may only pay you 10 cents. There's ones that are just wholesale, just whatever the grid is providing, which sometimes during the peak of summer can be a fair amount. So it's not necessarily straightforward because it also depends on how big your array is compared to your load. It's dependent on a number of things. So what Solar United Neighbors, we do, I love Solar United Neighbors because not only do we try and get everybody to go solar and educate about it and make it as simple a process as possible, we also advocate for solar rights, that we all have the right to own the sun, but also we help just try and take away the confusion if there's any. So they're working right now, we're piloting a program with texaspowerguide.com, which is a great website if you ever want to explore the different utilities and what they have to offer, or the different reps are retail energy providers. But they're trying this sample study. So they took my home, they took my Smart Energy Texas energy usage for the last year, ran it through the model and determined which was the best retail energy provider for our home, our usage. We happen to be 4 adults. Most of us are around the house all the time. And it turns out, the one we picked, luckily, is the one that's best for us. So, but it's very dependent. Our array happens to be sized to try and net meter to 0, right? To try and do all of our energy on average over the course of the year. All right, that's a lot in that slide. But know that Solar United Neighbors is here to help you figure out which is going to be the best retail energy provider for you, knowing that sometimes it may be just the one you have right now. Because, and I can go into that a little more detail, but there are some of our Solar United Neighbors folks who have gone solar who have chosen to not do a buyback program. They've chosen to manage their energy such they use up as much as they can during the day. They get free energy at night in one particular case. And so they just charge their car and cool their house at night. So it's going to be very personalized for each of you. All right. But please know that when the power goes out, your power will also go out if you don't have batteries, because we have to protect line workers. So even though you have solar and even some beautiful sunny day, if the grid is down, so isn't your system. So you may want energy storage, but if you're in this for the return on your investment, you have to think of these as 2 separate purchases. Solar, you can actually get a return on your investment. It's a stable investment. It's good for the long haul. Batteries are also a good investment in my mind, but it's not a return on your investment. You are investing in security and knowing that you have power when the power goes out, in knowing that, even if it's a long outage, you have solar and batteries, you can keep on ticking in your home, okay? So that's, you keep them separate in your mind as far as financing goes. When would you might want storage? If you have frequent utility outages, if you have critical loads at home, but please know that this is not an emergency. You can't count on it for life-saving equipment. But you can use it definitely for emergency and disaster preparedness. And it can help you if you choose to manage your loads. It can help you extend your solar day. What it can't do, I just want to be clear, is especially if you say, I'm going to get one 8-9 kilowatt hour battery, it's not going to power your central AC system. It's not going to do your electric oven because it's got only so much oomph it can last for a long time. So it can do all your ceiling fans and all your microwave and your lighting, especially if it's LED lighting. And it can do, you know, all your outlets, all your computers. So we operate a normal home when power is out, except we use fan power, not AC power. And again, I've heard from one of our members that if you have the AC unit that's broken into efficient fan coil units that are separated, I'm not going to remember the right term, that it can do one, it can take a zone and power a zone. So it's limited, and generally you'll put in a sub panel for the critical loads that you want powered from the battery. So jumping right through all of this, if these are the frequently asked questions, if you have others, by all means ask, but I'll go through these. So what are the typical warranties? And there are 3 different warranties you'll be looking at. There's the inverter warranty, there's the panel warranty, and then there's labor warranty. And so the panels are all pretty much warranted for 25 years, and that's to produce 80% of their nominal nameplate output. So they'll still be ticking at the end of 25 years, but just at about 80% capacity. So that's what the warranty is for. And then the inverters tend to be, if they're microinverters on the back of the panels, they're 25-year warranty, as are the, oh my goodness, as are the, okay, but the string inverters.
Inverter.
No, yeah, I was thinking of the, never mind, I'm having a senior moment. The inverters, string inverters are normally 10 to 13-year warranty. Optimizers, that's it. The optimizers are 25-year warranty, the ones that go up on the panels. The product warranty, the labor is dependent on the different installers. So you'll be able to see that when we have our selection of installers, you'll be able to see what their warranties are. Generally, it's between 2 and 10 years. Will it increase my homeowner's insurance? It may. I've had some members say it didn't. For me, it did. It increased my homeowner's insurance about $150 a year. It's important, though, that you do get it insured. It is an asset you're adding to your home, so you do want to get it insured. If they try and jack it too much, just shop around. Does a solar array have maintenance? Generally in the Houston area, I want to say no, right? There's no moving parts and there's no maintenance. However, there is wise to understand, well, 2 things. 1, every 5 years, have it checked out. Absolutely. So, you know, make sure the connections are tight and everything's working well. But as far as maintenance of the panels, sticky pollen is an eyesore. Heavy rains usually take care of it. I've known, again, members of co-ops who have had someone come and just scrub them down every once in a while, every 5 years or so. It doesn't appear to be affecting, I have pollen right now on my panels, it doesn't appear to be affecting the output performance. Does my roof need to be new? The thoughts are that if you are past your halfway point, so say you have a 20-year life expectancy on your roof and you're at year 15, that it would make sense to go ahead and, at least on the portion of the roof that you are putting solar on, to go ahead and re-roof it before you put the solar on. If you're under the half year, then go ahead. This will actually prolong the life of the solar under the roof, under the solar, because it's shading it, right? It's not getting the direct sunlight. You'll see in the selection committee, we'll see that we ask, how much does it cost to take panels down off a roof if I need to re-roof? And, you know, if there's a cost, it's I think, you know, averaging what, $100 per. And so there's a cost to take it down, re-roof. If you do re-roof before you do the array, as part of doing the array, my understanding, although we are not tax advisors, is that you can take the cost of that re-roofing and include it in your, when you calculate the amount for your federal income tax credit. Okay, and then how long do the systems last? Like I said, they're warranted for 25 years, but they're still ticking. So it's a good long-term investment. Will my HOA allow solar on my home? I have another slide that actually shows the law, but yes, they are required to allow solar on homes by Texas law. They can ask you to relocate, to have, meet their aesthetic preferences. But if it causes the array to perform less by 10% less than what it was designed to perform at, they can't ask that. So we just had a real good success story with a homeowners association where the installer, showed the different PV systems. They showed the two different performances, and they gave them the law, and they showed them the pictures of how it would look, and took away that's the unknown for the homeowners association, and they were able to get the array approved. And in Houston, and so far in the 4 co-ops we've had in this area, we have not had anyone be declined an array that I'm aware of. So far so good here in Houston. Let's see, what about hail and other things falling on them? And I learned something new, so I'm going to look at my notes here that that panels, in most cases, solar panels are tested and certified to withstand hail up to 25 millimeters, 1 inch, falling at 23 meters per second, approximately 50 miles per hour. So that's a new fact I learned. But what I've told people generally is, if the hail doesn't affect the glass on your auto that's out in the hail, it won't affect this. The solar panels are stronger than your car's auto, your car's glass. So in the Houston area, we have not had challenges with hail. All right, I'll pause here and say if there's any other questions I have. I've still got more on the slides, but if you think of questions, by all means ask. Otherwise, I will move along to how the co-op works. And to me, it's a chance to connect with those fellow solar enthusiasts, but also you get the good value on your installation. You get support from Solar United neighbors throughout the process. And again, we're a nonprofit. We're only interested in just promoting and helping you go solar in the best way possible. So, and we then help advocate for our solar rights. So you, by being a member of the co-op and being a member of Solar United Neighbors or just on the listserv, you'll hear from us when we need your voice at the state level to make sure we keep the good laws that are in place, or to make sure there's even, get even better laws in place. So how does the co-op work? This is why it takes the months that it takes, because first we learn about the co-op like you're doing tonight. Then we sign up. So that's a different process, and I'm happy to go after this presentation. I'm happy to show you how to do that. But it's very straightforward to become a member, and it's free, and there's no obligation. And then you tell your neighbors, because the best way this works is to get our co-op as large as possible, because then the installers are incentivized. We've taken away all the hardship of getting good, solid solar leads. They're more incentivized to give us a good price. And then we select, I say we, but it's you all. We get a selection committee together, and you all select the installer, and through a competitive bid process, which we help you through, and we'll educate you all till you feel comfortable making the selection. And then we put a sign-up deadline, because this is a big decision. And we found over the course of the years that it helps to have that deadline. It helps to have that, I've got to make a decision. And then the installer will independently schedule site visits with you, give you your own proposal, and you get to sign that contract with that installer. And again, we're here to help answer questions. Then the system gets installed, and we all party and celebrate afterwards. So that's the process. And remember that you guys pick the installer, that we'll guide and we'll answer questions, but you guys will do it. We'll give you criteria of your co-op, like how many people really wanted the best price, or whether they wanted equipment quality, etc. So we'll help you, but you guys make the decision. All right, so sorry, I went fast through that, but solar economics. It's no longer a boutique purchase. The prices have come way down, as you can see. Although, and even though it's now more and more common, it's still a daunting, it's harder than buying that Tesla, actually. It's just, if you feel like you need to be an expert, and so we're here to help make that a smoother process for you. And how do we bring down that price? You can see that over the years in purple, that the cost of the equipment, the system components, has come down. Panels have come down dramatically, and they've gotten, you know, smarter about all the other components. The labor has gone down as well, because it's almost like a plug and play as far as the wiring goes, and getting the panels racked. But it's the soft costs of getting those warm leads, getting you all to say, yes, I want solar, that can take a company time and cost. So by giving an installer 30 plus warm leads, we've saved them money, which they can then pass along to the co-op. So again, terminology, this is a good investment, but let's make sure we have the terminology to talk about. So when we price solar, we do it by the watt, not by the panel. People say, oh, I have 30 panels. I'm like, I need to know what the wattage of the panels are. So if you say, I'm going to do a 5 kilowatt array, and we're just pulling this out of right now, our historical, I mean, it's just a hope that it's 275 a watt, then you'll have to spend $13,750 out of pocket initially, but we'll go through that financing a little more, but it's price per watt, dollars per watt. That's how we price the systems. And you guys are lucky this year. CenterPoint, in partnership with Solar United Neighbors, is offering an extra incentive. So for qualifying installations of solar, while funds last, there'll be an additional incentive of around 200 to 250. It depends per kilowatt. It depends on your actual array performance. And you have to be willing to let them come do the inspection. So those 2 points, but that's very exciting to have a little extra incentive to go solar. Remember, it is a long-term investment. There's no moving parts. It's got a 25-year plus lifespan, and it protects you from rising electricity prices if you're able to get solar at a system size that can, you know, take care of your load. So it's a good investment, and we'll go into that a little bit more here. There are 3 slides that are coming up. I've put arrows to show you what I'm going to focus on, but don't worry, there's a lot of numbers. Hannah's going to put in the chat, or we can email separately afterwards, a handout that has these on it. So you'll have this to take away. But these are our sample purchase prices. And the first one, going back to that net metering terminology, this is a 1-for-1 credit. Again, if I pay 13 cents for my power, they're going to pay me 13 cents when I send it back to them. And I'm going to focus on the 8 kilowatt array, because on average, we've been seeing homes needing the larger array size. You can choose whatever size you want from, you know, it doesn't have to be 4 or 8. It can be any size that works for you, your roof, and your budget. But I'm going to work on the 8 kilowatt. So if the installer comes in at 275 a watt, and that's an if, right? They may come higher, you know, tariffs make a difference, and demand makes a difference. So, but if they come in around 275 a watt, you'd be looking at a $22,000 out-of-pocket bill. However, if we get it installed this year, then when you do your taxes for 2020, you'll be able to take the federal income tax credit of $5,720. So you'll get that cash back in the form of a rebate on your taxes, which if you don't, even if you can't take that much rebate in 1 year, you can spread it out over a number of years. And then you will get a check from either CenterPoint or the installer, depending on how the installer wants to do it. After they've inspected your system and it's up and operating, you'll get a check from CenterPoint for around $1,600 in this case. Again, assuming south facing, no shade, all that good stuff. So your net cost out of pocket is $14,860. I want you to look at that first 1 year savings and the first number, so $1,000. And that's based on a lot of fine print that you can see there, and it will be on your handout. At $1,000 of savings, there your simple payback is going to be 14.8, almost just under 15-year payback, simple payback. So, you know, that's great considering when I first installed solar, it was 30-year payback, 25. I mean, so it's a decent, within the life of the equipment, it's a good payback. If you aren't able to find the 1-for-1 credit, and so now the next slide is we're doing a less than 1-for-1 credit, your savings is just going to be less. So this is $900. So your payback goes, you know, more like 16-year, which is still fine. It's still good. If there is no net metering and you choose not to manage your array the way some of our members have done, then it's a 600-year payback. I mean, $600 a year savings, which gets you into a closer to 20-year payback. So, but again, there's a range here because it may be that you're not home, or that you're home during the day and you're able to use all that energy before it goes to the grid. So you don't really care what the utility company's paying you for because you're using it all up. So it is very site dependent. And again, that study that we're working on, we're hoping to be able to give you that kind of advice in a report format. Okay. I always sound like a salesperson when I say there's never a better time to go solar than now, but it's true. Every year I've been in solar for over 20 years, and every year is the best year to go solar for various different reasons. This year, it's because that next year the federal tax credit will drop to 22%, and then the year after that it'll be zero. And so, yeah, there may be other things that change, but this is a good time to go solar. And I need to step back and just honor that we're in a crazy time right now. And people's savings, what they were, may be very much at risk, and you might be frightened about all that. I hear you, and the solar investment may be hard to make at this time, but as our executive CEO said, our executive director said, Anya said recently that during the Great Depression, she was working on that first co-op. She was actually surprised that there was an uptick in interest in investing in solar because it's a stable, sure investment. And so for those that, can see beyond this challenging time in the economy, I encourage you to consider solar as a stable investment. Okay, but not everybody has money ready to plunk down in cash, although it is the best. You will get your best return on your investment by doing cash. But there is financing, and installers often offer financing. And I was talking with one lovely, very honest installer who was like, but I try not to tell them our installers financing because there's a price associated with it. And his message is you oftentimes can do better with your own home equity loans. And credit unions are very wise now to solar. It's become quite the standard loan. So don't be afraid to seek your bank and your credit union for your home equity loans. And then there's rare in Texas, but you can do leases and you can do power purchase agreements where you sort of rent your roof space, you rent your ground space, and then you just purchase the power. I have a bias. I like owning a piece of the sun. So I encourage you all to be able to look for programs that allow you to own the sun. Okay, and then this is the sheet with the different laws. I'm very proud of Texas because they have the renewable energy system property tax exemption. Here you're putting $20,000 of asset on your roof. If you had to pay, increased property tax because of that, it eats away into that slim savings that you get every year. So you can have that value abated by filling out one-time form 50123, and I'll try and remind you at the end of the co-op when we're doing taxes the next year. I'll remind you about this tax form, but it will allow you to take that additional asset and not be taxed on it. And then if you are thinking about solar for your business building, for your commercial property, there are property assessed clean energy PACE financing, which basically attaches it long-term to the building. So it's a very low financed or low cost. It always makes you cash positive. And then the Homeowners Association, this is the law we already talked about. It's Texas Property Code 202.010. And we have a great handout now. Solar United Neighbors has good products or handouts on our website that they can help you with this. So if you feel like you may have trouble with your HOA, again, work with your installer, but we have a good handout to help you through that process. All right, so then the pictures. they went solar, you can too. And Wally, you're featured front and center of this co-op. And I got a picture today from someone up in College Station who just got their system up and running. She sent me a picture of her in front of her array. And it just makes me happy. So that will be what I'll be asking of anybody who goes solar. I want to see a picture. It makes my day. So what to do next? We will be having another lunch and learn on the April 3rd. And so invite friends if they haven't been part of this particular info session. Come again on April 3rd, invite them to come and join the co-op. It's very easy to do. If you click on this link and you'll find the button that says join our co-op. They'll ask you a few questions, your address, your information. They'll ask you things that what are you interested in? They'll make you sign a waiver saying that you understand that you're not contracting with Solar United Neighbors. You're going to be, it's no cost and no obligation. And then you're a member. And what happens next is Vincent, back in our back office, he will do a desktop review of your home. He'll make sure that you're qualified or maybe qualified for solar. You'll get an email welcoming you. You'll get an email saying you're qualified. And then you'll get emails from me saying, okay, let's grow the co-op, spread the word. And as you can, I don't know if you can tell, but I love to talk about solar. So I'm happy to, not in person, I guess, right now until we get through this process, but I'm happy to meet with small group in your living room with 10 of your friends. I'm happy to do any of that kind of virtual. Actually, you can't be in your living room with 10 of your friends, but if 10 of your friends wanted to be in their living room at the same time, I'd be happy to do this again. Visit our website, join the listserv. So even if you say, the time is not for me to go solar now, but I want to make sure we keep rights in Texas and improve our right to go solar, join the listserv, stay informed, and help us advocate for solar. We'll call on you, not very often, but once in a while, to help us out, to help all of us out. I think